Thinking about buying a franchise? Then the How to Buy a Franchise show is just for you. Here's your host, Dr. John Hayes.
You have a married couple who are franchisees who did things so well, who I wrote an article about not long ago, and I'm going to update it here in the near future when they come back from their vacation. And that is the Heatons in North Carolina. So here is a couple, and if you've read my blog, you've seen this story already, where the Heatons said, look, we're going to buy a franchise. Had never been franchisees before. They had operated in retail businesses before, service businesses, but we're going to buy a franchise. But why would you buy a franchise? Well, of course, to make money, to enjoy life, to enjoy a business, to be credible, etc., to represent a brand. But the number one reason you buy a franchise is to resell it.
That's right.
Nobody ever says that, which is why I loved interviewing the Heatons, because they said, we bought it, and they invested maybe under $200,000 in the initial Signarama that they bought in a small city in North Carolina.
Yeah, South Carolina.
It was South Carolina. Okay.
Orangeburg, South
That's
Carolina.
That's right, right across the border, right.
Yeah.
And they sold that for $1.2 or $1.5 million.
They did
and they were thrilled. And I interviewed them shortly after the sale. And they said this worked exactly the way we intended. We invested a small amount of money, we got a big payout, and now we're going to enjoy ourselves. Well, not for long, because many times franchisees find, I'm too young to retire, and the Heatons are a young couple, so they were way too young to retire. So what did they do? They went and bought another United Franchise Group business, this time Transworld.
Yeah.
They decided to become into the business brokerage business. And so they've been on vacation, so I haven't had the opportunity to interview them again, but I will soon, and I'm going to update my article. But this is... How often have you ever heard a franchisee say, look, Ray, I'm only buying this because I plan to resell it in 5 years, and I'm going to resell it for 10 times what I'm putting into it?
Yeah, you rarely hear that because everybody's focused on now.
Yes.
Everybody's focused on what's going on right now. And in training school, we actually talk about long-term and short-term planning and how franchise owners need to look at what's the exit strategy. Is it to pass it on to family? For instance, I've been at this for 30 years. I have 3 kids that are 24, 22, and 19. In fact, this is the first trade show. All 3 of them are attending with me.
So the millennials are here.
They're here.
Yeah.
And so for me, I'm going to be looking at down the road of passing the business on to the next generation. We have many franchise owners that want to do that and pass their legacy on to another generation and help them take a step up. Yeah. But franchise owners typically don't come in with a good exit strategy and don't look at that. The Heatons, perfect example. They ran the business profitably for 12 years, I think it was, and they did a fantastic job, built up the business, actually ended up buying a building and running a big business. But from there, they ended up selling for a large, as you mentioned, well over $1 million. A great situation for them and for the business and for their family. But they were too young to retire, and they spent, I think it was a handful of months, and did some travel, and all of a sudden I got the call.
Right.
Okay, and it's the Ray, we want to take a look at another business. And United Franchise Group's the only company we would want to do business with, and Transworld fit them perfect because they could build it from their home. It didn't have any manufacturing equipment.
Right.
It didn't have to hire any employees. They didn't have inventory to worry about. They could just focus on marketing and advertising and building and growing their business. Mm-hmm. So that's what they did, and that is just a fantastic testimony to United Franchise Group, but really the Heatons. They're the ones who did it. They're the entrepreneurs.
Yeah. Thank you for listening to How to Buy a Franchise Show. If you want immediate assistance, visit howtobuyafranchise.com to contact Dr. John Hayes for a free consultation.